Joe. Thank you so much for being here today. We're super grateful that we get to interview you. I would love if you could introduce yourself.
Sure. Well, thanks, Courtney. I'm glad to be here. I'm Joe Pallo. I'm really good at selling nothing. So I wrote a book, How to Sell Nothing. I run a coaching company called Sell Nothing, and I work with top producers, team leaders, people want to grow their business by establishing a relationship.
I love that. Could you tell us more about what your book is about?
Basically, in sales, there's two sales that have to happen. There's a logical sale and there's an emotional sale, or two buckets that need to be filled. Uh, we need them both to get the next step. In with the bucket, the logical bucket is filled with my voice. I'm the salesperson. I'm an expert on that. The emotional bucket is filled with their voice. It's what they want and why they want it. People will not engage or take the next step until that emotional bucket is filled. And what happens, and the book works on this problem, we can go out and have a great meeting with an individual, a great sales call. On a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 10. And then they come back 2 weeks later, 2 months later, you're trying to go back in and have that meeting, and it's different because the buckets are different. The logical bucket is finite. If you have a bucket that's full of water, you can't put more water on it. You have a client who's logically sold, and we come back in 2 weeks or 2 months, they're still sold logically. The emotional bucket has holes in it. That first meeting, you get both buckets filled, you get the next step. When I come back in down the road, their emotional reasons are gone. How to Sell Nothing teaches how to get that emotional bucket filled at the second meeting. Does that make sense?
Love that. What inspired you to write the book?
Um, this goes way back. I paid my way through college by selling books door to door. Didn't know anything about sales. Went to school at Fargo, North Dakota State University in Fargo, and I moved down to Charlotte, North Carolina. Did not even have a car, and I just had to work my butt off. And my sales manager gave me a book, Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. He said, read this. And the model was set up. I mean, it was a tough gig where we worked 80 hours a week. Sunday was our day off, and we'd go to an amusement park to relax. And I was so focused on selling, I'm literally at an amusement park, sitting on a bench, kids running around playing, and I'm reading the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I mean, people walk by and said, oh, that poor kid. He doesn't even have friends, and he's trying to do that. But that book had a huge impact on me. And I've read it many times since. It's one of the best, most influential books out there, at least from my perspective. Not saying that my book's going to be in that at that level, but that's what I want. I want to be one of the 5 most influential people in someone else's life. That's where the book came from, or why I wrote it.
Love that. When you were writing your book, who were you thinking of when it comes to who your book is for?
My clients, absolutely. It's a lot of the lessons I do with coaching are embedded in the book, and it's just dealing with that. People want to have a relationship, but they really don't know how. They do it intuitively, but they can't repeat it. So a lot of the book came from coaching calls and ideas that I've learned over the past, 8 years that I've been doing this.
Love that. How long have you been writing and what made you really sit down and start?
Great question. Because it ebbed and flowed. It started, probably 13 years ago. We were just doing a presentation, and one of the Allison King was a coworker. She just started taking notes, and she goes, "You got to write this down." So that just planted the seed. And then it just kept going as I got more into coaching. I started getting more and more chapters, and I said, "Wait, this is making sense." Um, got it to the publisher. Was in the third round of the galley stage, and my book sat for a year, and I didn't touch it. I got tired of reading it, and I couldn't figure out what was wrong. So I talked to 4 or 5 key people that have a big impact on. I respect them and respect their opinions. And they kind of helped me work through it. But I realized the whole book was just the logical piece. I did not practice what I preach and say why people should read the book. So that's how I put the final chapter. That's the emotional reason. That's the emotional sale. I needed that for the book. So that's where just within the last 2 days that I finished the book and it's back at the editor. So we should have uh, it should be done relatively soon.
Love that. What is your schedule like when you are writing a book?
Um, don't necessarily have one. As far as a timeline, and I coach on it, so I should. I know what you're saying. That's not good, but all right, I'm not perfect. Um, what I found as far as the best way for me to write is literally me sitting down typing is hard. I'll use rev.com. It's an app, and I'll just speak it. I have my notes and outline, and I'll just talk, and then it comes back to a Word document, and I can edit that. That's how I get it out of here and onto a document.
Love that. That's very unique. What do you need in your writing space to help you stay focused?
Um, I think what need to do is really focus on what problem am I fixing for my clients, and then by that default, I'm hopefully fixing the same problems with the readers. So I focus on that piece and say, what do they need? Am I explaining it and making sure that if my clients know me and they've worked with me for years, uh, they know what I'm getting at. The part I worry about is people who don't know me. Is it coming through?
Love that. What is your favorite writing snack or drink?
Um, don't know if I really have that. I just want a glass of water, but if I'm going to stay focused on it, I don't. It's I go in short little bursts too, so maybe that helps. I don't necessarily
Love
need one.
that. What type of books do you personally enjoy reading?
Um, it's self help in the sales arena, leadership. I'll go there. I've got a list, and once you start writing a book, it seems like there's authors everywhere. There's so many good authors and good books out there that my reading list never is going to. It's just getting bigger and bigger. But usually, business leadership. That's probably where I'm going to go. I do like reading, just in general.
Love that. Are there any books or authors that inspired you to become a writer?
Again, be Dale Carnegie's "How to Win Friends and Influence People." Jim Collins' "Good to Great." That was a really good book, and it came at a pivotal time. But a lot of the principles I coach on in leadership, the footprints are the seeds were planted there.
That. What type of books did you grow up reading? Did you have an all-time favorite?
Um, I think I really found out the love of reading was reading the Louis L'Amour books, the Western books, and they're kind of that was fifth or sixth grade, but they were just got me involved, and I just got them took off from there. Um, yeah, otherwise, it's pretty eclectic, whatever I read. But right now, I'm thinking I'm just more into the business arena.
Love that. On the opposite side of that, now as an adult, what are your favorite series or authors that if they come out with something, you're going to automatically grab it?
Um, Steve Sims, he wrote Whale Hunting. Tom Searcy, they have some just really good spot on books. Uh, there's a handful of authors that are coming out with their books, and I was privileged to read a couple of them. Patrick McGowan's got a really good book about Through the Lens, and it kind of deals with how we're presenting ourselves with Zoom because that's a new thing the last 3 years. Um, that was pivotal as far as me thinking differently and how I'm presenting myself virtually.
Love that. What would you tell someone just starting out with reading again?
Um, I don't know if it's good or not, but if a book doesn't grab me, I'm not going to finish it. And maybe that's bad. In case my wife gives me grief about it, because she'll read a book cover to cover, even if it's a bad book. They Nope, if it's not there, I'm I'm not going to do it. So
Love that. On the other side of that, what would you tell someone just starting to write their own book?
I think it's important to have personal stories. That's in our DNA. We love hearing stories. Should be relevant. Should have a point. But uh, I use stories, and I practice in my coaching. I strive to never teach, coach, speak, or even write until I've created space to have that conversation. In other words, I don't want to be perceived as saying, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this, until I have them emotionally engaged where they want to fix that problem. In other words, I create a story to identify a problem. Now the listener or the reader is receptive to the answer.
Love that. What's one thing that people are generally surprised to find out about you?
I think, well, it's a weird. I don't know if it's generally surprised, but I like building things. I'm not a golfer. That's my hobby, building things and tree forts for my kids, or a swing set, or a chicken coop, or whatever. Um, I'm in a consulting business, and it's kind of like kind of white collar. No, I'm not.
Love that. Is there anything you would like to say or add?
Other than, I think, this concept of helping people figure out what they want and why they want it, how transferable that is. It works in business. If you have them figure out what they want and they tell you why, my job as a salesperson has got a lot easier because I'm not really selling, I'm letting people buy. And that same principle works in leadership, and same principle works in relationships. You help them, people, enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want. And sell nothing is kind of a way to make that a emotional connection to do that.
Love that. Where's the best place for readers to find your book? Are signed copies going to be an option? I know some readers love those, and the best place to connect with you.
It'll be on Amazon, or we can go to my website, sellnothing.co, not .com. The M was taken, or it's too expensive, so it's .co. Um, and then if they can also email me at joe@sellnothing.co. But also, I've got a kind of a sample. It convertsalesfaster.com. It's a free sample of the book, and it has kind of a piece in there that people can apply today.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here today. We're so grateful we got to interview you. We'll be sure to drop that information in the show notes. That way, everyone can find you.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Had a great time as well. Thank you.
Ah